Welcome, everyone. I have Sufyan Jana with me. And in this segment called the elevator pitch, he's going to introduce himself. Sufyan, all yours.
Hi Ranga, thanks for having me. As Ranga said, my name is Soufiane Ajana, and I'm an epidemiologist and data scientist at the Bordeaux Population Health Research Center in France. My background is in statistics and epidemiology, and I did my PhD at Bordeaux University, during which I developed a prediction model to prevent the onset of a blinding eye disease called age-related macular degeneration, also known as AMD. And I'm also a laureate of the SPARK program, which is an initiative launched by the Stanford University of Medicine to bring my research work to the industry in the next 2 years.
Yeah. Sounds fantastic, Sufyan. We talked about a lot of it in the podcast that we did. So I would urge our listeners to go and listen to that to know more about Sufyan and about his work around AMD and how he's building a deep tech startup. Great.
Thank you.
So Sufyan, in our next segment, I call it favorites. So I'm going to ask you some of your favorites. Here's the first one. Tell us or share with us a favorite movie or a TV show or a series which you think is your favorite because it gives you a good idea of what artificial intelligence is or what it's going to look like.
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, there are many TVs and movies about AI, but I think that the one that occurs to me right now is the Eagle Eye.
I've seen that movie.
Yeah, it's an excellent movie, and if you didn't see it, really, like, just stop this recording now, like, and stop this this video and just go and watch it and then come back.
No. I don't want my listeners to go away. I take your advice, but yeah. So hey, listeners and watchers, go watch Eagle Eye after this show is done.
yeah. And I really think, like, joke aside, that it really shows how computer vision can be efficient, and how computer vision algorithms can really help us either enhance or destroy the world. It depends how we will use them. But yeah, it's really a great movie, and it motivated me a lot to get interested by computer vision and to start reading computer vision articles, by the way. And that's how all my journey started, actually, of AI.
So there you go, folks. Movies can have a real impact, and we have an example right in front of us.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a proof. I'm an alive proof.
Great. So let me ask you the next in the favorite segment. So tell us maybe which book or YouTube channel, or maybe a particular person or his work that you follow, which is your favorite, that you follow in this healthcare and AI domain, which you feel is very influential and which you personally aspire to be like.
Yeah. So maybe I will give two persons, because these two persons really shaped my my vision of AI. And well, the first one would be is a prof. It's a prof in Caltech called the Professor Mustafa Yasser Abu Mustafa. I will give you the name afterwards, so you can, like, put it in reference, or like
Sure,
afterwards. Yeah, it's really Yasser Abu Mustafa, and if you write this down on YouTube and you followed by Caltech, you will find one of the most amazing machine learning courses that I have ever seen. This guy is a genius. This guy is a pure genius. He really managed to explain everything with simple words, and he really takes the time to, yeah, just once you watch the Eagle Eye, go and watch these courses, and then you will really understand what I'm talking about.
Good combination, yeah, certainly.
Yeah, definitely. And then I would love to mention also Leo Brayman for the random forests and for all what he said and all what he developed for the machine learning community. I really find that this guy is also a really good reference. And by the way, there's also an article where he compares the predictive versus the explanatory modeling, and that's really interesting as well. You know, that's because like many data scientists nowadays, well, or at least some of them may be confused about explanation and prediction, and I think that it's really important to differentiate these two, because you can have a factor that can explain very well, but it's not really predictive, and vice versa. So it's really not the same thing to explain and to predict, and I really like urge all our viewers to go there and to read this article of Leo Brayman, and to try to spend some time understanding the difference between prediction and explanation.
Well, thank you so much. I think those are very good picks. I'll certainly include them in the description when I put this video out, and I'm sure people will benefit from it. So thank you, Sufyan.
Okay.
Now we move on to the next segment. This is called, this we are all familiar with. It's called Fill in the Blanks. We've been doing this since school, right? So
Yeah,
I'll just give you a sentence. I'll give you a dash, and in that dash you can fill whatever you want. It can be one word, a phrase, multiple words, whatever. I leave it to you, right?
Okay.
So here's your first one. Humans will dash AI performance. I again repeat, humans will dash AI performance.
Yeah, well, the first one that comes to my mind is will enhance AI performance. Yeah, because well, humans created AI. So yeah, they will enhance it. I think it's not the sexiest answer that I could give, but just like that, yeah, that's what comes to my mind.
This is good because, I've heard a lot about human in the loop, right? Even with AI systems, if there is a human in the loop, I think the end product or the prediction or the objective is enhanced. So I think you're definitely right on point. Humans will enhance AI performance.
Yeah, and can I give just one anecdote about that? I've been last year to the widest conference on ophthalmology. It's called the ARVO, which stands for Association for Research in Vision and Ophthalmology.
Okay.
It was held in Vancouver, Canada, and there was this huge talk, like about how AI will impact ophthalmologists, and will ophthalmologists be replaced by AI, and at the end of the talk, actually, there was a sentence that was like said by a member of the audience, who said, actually, it's not AI that will replace ophthalmologists, but it is ophthalmologists who use AI that will replace ophthalmologists who don't.
That's very well
really
put.
Interesting. Yeah, and that's really interesting, and that's what I meant by human will enhance AI, because yeah, AI needs the human input to be even better than it already is.
That's right. That's right. Great. And talking about that, the second one is close on that heels. So the second fill in the blanks for you is AI will dash doctors. AI will dash doctors.
Yeah, AI will support doctors, I would say.
Support. Okay.
Yeah, to stay in the same line of thinking. Yeah, doctors will be more efficient, I think, in their work by using AI. AI is not meant to replace the human inputs. It's not meant to replace the human competence, and
right.
Yeah, AI is meant to support the human competence, I would say.
Certainly, I think it's a very powerful tool, and just like we have used so many other tools, like right now we're doing video conferencing. We're using a tool. We're using a computer. We're using a mobile, and these are very powerful. And today you cannot even think of not using these and going through your life. So I think perhaps AI will be a very powerful tool that will support us.
Yeah, that's my point of view as well. I can't agree more with you.
That's great. Great, Sufyan. So let's move to our next segment. This is a fun one. This, of course, all are fun. This is called Imagine. So in this, I will give you a scenario, a futuristic scenario, and you can let your imagination run riots and tell us how you think about it. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So here's your scenario.
Let me close my eyes.
Please.
Go ahead. I'm all ears.
It is the year 2030. That's 10 years from now. You have just finished a quick game of soccer with your buddies. You seem to have some significant discomfort in your legs while walking back to your house. You call your physical therapist. Walk us through your imagination on how this call will proceed and how you will get help for the condition that you're experiencing. 2030, 10 years from now.
Yeah. I think that by then I won't even be the one calling my therapist. No. I think that my smartwatch would have called them far like a long time, before I even feel that I'm hurt.
Wow.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Because
there's this book that Yuval Noah Harari wrote, right? So he said
yeah,
that AI, can know something even before it's within your consciousness. I think that's something that what you're alluding to here.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm a huge fan of IoT, Internet of Things. And I've been to an ICML conference in Stockholm. I think it was in 2018, and I loved conferences about IoT. I think that if I were to if I want to do something else in AI, and I think that I would specialize in IoT. I think that it's a very, very promising field, and we can do a lot of things, and everything is still to be done there. Like our only limit would be our imagination. Like there are so many things to do, and that's why that was my first reflex when you told me that I will call someone. No, I won't be even calling this person. This person will be calling me, telling me, "Hi, Sufyan, that's my diagnosis. When are you able? When will you be able to come so we can work on it?" I think that's the future, and that's at least, yeah, that's 2030 for me.
That's very interesting, and so it's obviously when it's calling the physical therapist. So I'm guessing enough data would have been gathered about how you would normally maybe walk, or and what this condition is. Maybe there's some data that's gathered from a wearable on yourself, and that's presented to the therapist, and therefore the therapist can make the
exactly
diagnosis.
Yeah.
And I'm sure as a physical therapist, maybe he also has some assists that are helping him.
Yeah, of course. No, that's why I think that really AI will assist and support the human race. Like and that's how, according to me, that's how it should be done to be able to really enjoy AI fully.
Great. Sounds good. Thanks a lot. That was good. Good to imagine that. I hope you go 10 years from now and see if this comes true.
Yeah, maybe I hope you will invite me in 10 years from now and we can see if it's true again.
I'm sure. Okay, so we move on to our next segment. This is called A Tweet Saves the Day. Okay. So here again, I would give you a scenario, and I know you're on Twitter, so you know how Twitter works, right? So I would ask you to tell me what you would tweet to save the day, right? And so your scenario to save the day is, AI has been used in healthcare to make some recommendations for a treatment. And unfortunately, one of the recommendations that was made and that was taken, let's say, didn't turn out well for the patient at hand. So now the healthcare system or the hospital has decided to do away with the system, because it didn't work in the case. Now, you have a chance to make your point by sending out a tweet. What would you send out, and what point would you make?
Yeah, well, that's a really tricky situation. yeah, maybe like, can you give me like a few seconds to think about it?
Sure,
You know,
yeah, go ahead.
just not to tweet like Donald Trump, you know, like because for me, like tweets have to be like really focused, you know, and you have to tweet something
Sure,
useful.
sure, take
You
your
know?
time. Absolutely.
Okay. Maybe I would say let's make our health system great again. We're talking about Donald Trump, and so let's make our health system great again. And so how can I emphasize that with AI? Or maybe something else. Yeah, maybe something else. Yeah. We all deserve a second chance.
Very powerful one. Very
I would say
powerful. I
that.
think very timely. I think that's also right in the flavor of a tweet, because
Yeah.
it gives you enough, but it doesn't give you everything.
Yeah. I think that's what I would tweet. Yeah.
So thank you so much for being in this segment of the U Plus AI podcast. It was really fun talking to you and giving you and basically picking your brains, I would say, you know.
Yeah.
So that
No,
was good.
yeah, thanks for this exercise. I love doing such exercises, you know, because it's really great actually to step out of your comfort zone, you know, and just try to see how your brain will behave when you are asked, or when you are asked some questions that you don't expect, you know, like the ones that you asked me, and um, and it was really great, you know, like yeah, to do this exercise and to see that we're still alive, you know, like it makes you feel alive, you know, that
Yeah.
yeah, it's really refreshing as exercise, and I hope that you will have other great experiences during this podcast with other hosts, and really thanks again for this initiative. It's a really great initiative that you have here. uh, I hope that many people will like take example on this podcast and on this way of interviewing people, and to come up with other ways to make AI accessible for everyone.
Well, thank you so much, Sufyan. Thank you for the nice words. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I would like to remind our users again that, you know, I talked with Sufyan Ajana on the U Plus AI podcast, and that podcast is available where we talked about his journey, his work, his current research, and how he's taking it forward with his startup. You know, that podcast is available on all the typical podcast apps like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, as well as you can catch it on uplusai.com. I hope you enjoyed this fun segment, which is an accompaniment to the U Plus AI podcast. I certainly thank Sufyan Ajana again for being a guest and having a fun time here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ranga, and see you soon, I hope.